No, this is the most comfortable position when I'm at home, drinking coffee, chatting to my friends. So I usually sit like this. And what I got here is Turkish delights. We call it in my mother tongue ratluk. We usually eat it when we drink coffee, and if you go to local cafes and restaurants, if you order Turkish coffee, you will get one of these. I bought it, you can buy it everywhere, but I bought it in one oldest confectionery store in Belgrade, so it's local, and it's very sweet, mainly made of sugar. So the reason why and you can see these patterns you can see on carpets made on the south of Serbia, and they're called pilaf carpets. The reason, I think you can eat it later after lunch. The reason why I wanted to share this with you is because I come from the country where many cultural influences have been present during centuries, and I'm very proud of this. I was born in Bosnia, and I moved to Serbia. I lived with Muslims, Croats, Serbs, now I live in Serbia. And actually what formed me and my ideals, my values, is this abundance of cultural influences. Why Turkish? I like drinking Turkish coffee, and people usually drink coffee, which is called Turkish coffee. Yeah, this is somehow the Turks used to sit. Yeah. Turkish delights, again. So we were under the reign of the Turks for 500 years. And I would just like to share some thoughts of very famous people and very important people for my culture. I like to draw wisdom from the literature. At the beginning of the 20th century, one of our writers, Branislav Nušić, wrote about this meeting of the West and East. And in his short book of short stories, he wrote about the superficial things. Because he wasn't a part of that nation, he just saw as an outsider what was happening, and he was describing clothes, everything that we saw at the beginning of this session, some emblems, so this is how he perceived Muslims and how he perceived otherness. Another writer who is a Nobel Prize winner for literature, Ivo Andrić, actually I had research in all these, the influence of these contacts in Serbian literature of the 20th century, and it was my paper, the so-called graduate studies. He was the Nobel Prize winner, he lived in Bosnia. Again, very tricky part when his nationality is in question, but it doesn't matter here. He wrote about these constant contacts and impacts Serbian, Croatian, Muslim and Jew culture, because it was very present in Bosnia at that time. And this is something really fantastic, how he describes the soul of a person, we can call it whatever, who used to live in that part of the world. The soul of and values we have are actually somehow collected in the memory of our ancestors. However, the best insight of the soul of the person, of the values we've got, about a person who was a Muslim, who lived in Bosnia, but actually he was Nesha Selimović. He didn't write about these superficial things, such as clothes, such as Turkish delights, etc. But those values we have and inherit centuries and centuries old. And this is the reason why I wanted to share this, because I'm very proud to be a Serb, coming from such rich cultural background, and when I put there, I'm a human being. And I'm really glad, because when I spoke to Milan, we spoke as human beings. We didn't spoke, okay, this is the issue. It's not my main identity. That's it. As yourself, after the lunch.
Lunch, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the
lots of food from Serbia.
Yeah, there'll be lots.